What's up, everybody? Give me 1 second. Man, I just had a phone call uh before, like, that literally just hung up right before we went live. So I just want to make sure that we're good because I was checking out. Okay, good. All right, I had to handle that phone call. So, what's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday, almost Friday, almost the weekend. Not sure if that uh matters to most, because I'm sure most of us have like side gigs or side hustles that usually involve the weekend. So, um, but again, it was almost the weekend. We made it through another week with all the madness that happened this week. We're still here, so that's been great. Hold on one second. Let me send off this message real quick. Um, um, hold on. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so let's see who is here. We got all right, what's going on, Eric? What's going on, Thumbstick? Like I said, it's Thursday. Happy Thursday. We are live from the Alpha Esports and Technology Center. It is a little quiet in here right now because we don't really have much going on today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish up the Try Hack Me module that we were working on for web fundamentals. I don't expect that this to be a long uh, stream for that. And then after that, we'll probably do a couple other things. I got some stuff I need to work on before our esports match tomorrow. So I got these Wise cameras for our stream setup, and I'll explain why we're doing that. First and foremost, I'm poor, and I don't have, I'm not gonna say we're poor. We're okay, but there is a. Let me back up a little bit. So, I mean, if you see most esports productions, you see it's usually like a production, right? You get the camera that shows the shoutcasters, you get the camera that shows the players, you get the stream feed of the match and everything like that. And we want to try to simulate as much of that as possible. So I was looking up different cameras and how to do different things with NDI sources and things like that. And there are a couple cameras out there that will allow you to do that outside of putting a webcam on every single gaming PC we have. I didn't really want to do that, right? Because that takes up resources, and then also it just causes difficulties when you're trying to stream all of that. So what I found was I wanted to get some cameras that allow us to basically use the Wi-Fi, and we can put them wherever we need to put them, and it's off the Wi-Fi, but then we can also connect to them for our live stream. So there were, like I said, there are a few other options out there, and Lenovo, I think it's Lenovo. Yeah, Lenovo has the Mevo cameras. I think they're like $400 or $500 a pop. I wasn't spending that kind of money, and obviously, like I said, we're still small time, so we don't have the stuff to do like a big production. So what I started doing is, because I'm a hacker, so when I started trying to find ways that we can hack some cameras. And and I came across these Wise cameras. Now, it's very important that you don't get the current Wise cameras, the version 4s, or is even version 5 now, but you get the version 3s. Reason why is, with the version 3s, you're able to upload some software into the version 3 cameras that will allow you to do RTSP. And what that means is we're able to basically stream the cameras. We can use it like a streaming camera. So I've seen some people set these up next to like their 3D builds, so you can get the camera in the 3D printer, so you can stream the 3D build while it's happening and stuff like that. So I said, well, why not? So we started with 2 cameras. I got 2 cameras. Shout out to my Micro Center. I went down to Micro Center, grabbed a couple cameras, and tried it. Ran into a couple issues a couple times, but ended up getting it working. But now we have the cameras that we can put on stream. I do not have actually, maybe I can just share, because I think I've shown y'all before on stream what the camera looks like. But like I said, because of how I have it set up now, we can set this up to VLC, and then pull the feed from VLC into OBS or whatever we're going to be using. Actually, we'll probably go through that today too. There's another streaming software out there that I want to check out. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick just so you can see. So basically, this is what one of my cameras see right now, right? And like I said, these are Wise cameras. So again, they're not the greatest, but like I said, it works. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up cameras across each of these stations eventually, but we're going to start off with 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to set that up, and then once we get it set up, we're going to configure it in OBS or whatever we're going to use for streaming. So now you get that esports athlete look when you're watching live streams, and you see like their face, or you'll be able to get their facial expressions, or you can see their reactions. So that's something that we're working on. So I'll be working on that, and then I had to take down the Minecraft server the other night just because I wanted to move it somewhere else. So I'm going to get that set back up, and we'll probably test that. So if y'all want to hang out with me after we do the Try Hack Me stuff, you are more than welcome to. I'll probably stream it just so you can see it and we can keep the stream going. But yeah, that's what we're working on. So let me know what y'all are doing. Again, y'all already know I'm an open book. So if y'all have any questions for me, we can chop it up while we're working. All right. So just to recap, yesterday we finished up with Windows Fundamentals, and then we started checking out DNS, right? We did the DNS module. So remember, we talked about what's going on, Ty. We talked about, Ty, I think you had asked a question. Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up, Thumbstick. And like I said, I ain't forget. I still got to reach out to you. But we talked about DNS, and remember we talked about DNS is basically like the phone book or the contact list for the internet. So each every time you go to a website, like you go to Google or you go to Try Hack Me or you wherever, you type in the name, but what's really happening in the background is you're going through, it's actually calling out to an IP address. And what DNS does is DNS translates those IP address numbers into the web address that you're typing in. And then we went through the whole process of what happens when you make that DNS request. So when you do, you're tinkering, hold on one second. Why can't you proxy traffic? Hold that thought, Ty. All right, so we talk about when you make a DNS request. So what happens when you first make a DNS request is it checks your local machine to see if you have any information stored in your memory about that contact information or that web address. And then when it does, if it doesn't go there, what happens is it checks a recursive DNS server, which is usually your internet service provider. So if you have Comcast or Spectrum or Cablevision or Altice or Optimum or whatever the hell it's called these days, it checks that. And then if they don't have it in their memory, then it checks the root DNS server. And the root DNS server is basically like, the place to go. And when it checks a root DNS server, it'll say, okay, cool, you're tryhackme.com. All right, cool. Yeah, who has tryhackme.com? It'll find that answer for you. And then when it does, it goes to the authoritative DNS server. They have the information stored there. Then that information gets pushed back up to you, so it completes that request. And then what it does in the fifth step is it says, okay, now that you made that request, we're going to store it in your local memory. So the next time you go to access this website, you don't have to go through all of this again. So I compared it to like when you when you put a phone number in your phone the first time, right? You have to go get the contact their name and their contact information. So hey, what's your name? What's your phone number? Right? They give you that information. You have to type it in. You have to save it, right? And then you have to make that call the first time. But then any time after you do that initial work of storing all that information, you'll then be able to it'll be a lot faster because it's already saved in your it's saved. All right, so that pretty much covered DNS. Ty, like I said, you also asked a question about merch and stuff like that. You can go to I'll put it in here real quick if you for merch. But the Nightbot actually had it in there, but I'll just put it in here real quick. I actually need to get some more stuff in here. Yeah, Thumbstick, I saw you sent the email. Like I said I didn't forget. Like I said, it's just been a crazy week. Man, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like this, like hanging out and this kind of streaming with y'all is like usually the most chill and calm part of my day, right? Because I'm usually dealing with what's going on, Canby. I'm usually dealing with, some nonsense at work. Now, you didn't go to spam, dealing with some nonsense at work or dealing with some nonsense, right? And the one thing I will say is, and this will be my rant for the day, because I'm gonna be honest with you, as a veteran, you see what's going on with veteran benefits and stuff like that. And some of the stuff that got cut were mental health and visits and stuff like that. And I was going to using the VA for therapy. So that stuff got cut. So this has been very therapeutic for me. I appreciate y'all for real. All y'all who come and check and just kind of kick it. And like I said, I'm not trying to make anything political or whatever. I'm just calling it for what it is, right? The VA benefits got cut. Some of that was my uh, like I said, therapy stuff. So it's been hard because again, it's not even so much about from a financial standpoint. It's just you build a rapport with with your therapist, right? You don't you every time, for me at least, every time I had to find a new therapist, it's like starting all over again, building that rapport and building that comfort with them to share some information that could be that's traumatic or whatever. But anyway, I think, but I also think in with the current climate of everything, regardless of whatever, the economy, the job market, like it's been so hard. But then you also have I appreciate it, Canby, and thank you for sharing, man. I hope all is well with you. Hope all is well with you as well. Um, you know, they try to play in your face, man. Like I don't know if a lot of y'all know this, but I do also have a another role as a media personality for um, for another company, and they have their own YouTube channel and stuff like that. And I'm very careful with putting that stuff out there, like because if you see it, you see it. If you know, you know. I think I shared some of the videos before, but you there's difficulties there too, especially when um, promises that were made don't get kept, and then it's almost like what do whatever. So like I said, it's just been crazy. So honestly, like I said, this has just kind of been therapeutic for me. It's kind of reminded me of why I've told y'all time and time again that the next phase in my career wanted to be teaching and stuff like that. And this kind of just kind of reinvigorated that and recharged the battery somewhat to kind of keep the excitement going. Getting the feedback from y'all and telling me how much y'all appreciate the stuff that gets done. I think that is definitely helpful. Ty, real quick, this is the so yeah, this is the storefront for our store for the center. So again, we have jerseys and stuff like that. And I still think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't updated it in a minute, but I think the T Public store is still up. So whatever it is, whatever it is you're looking for, you can check between here and the other store. But yeah, now like I said, it's it is what it is. Again, I try to keep a lot of that stuff private or quiet or whatever. But I also feel like um, I speak for a lot of people, and a lot of people aren't able to speak up for themselves. So sometimes I'm okay being that voice or being that bad guy, right? Whatever. Um, Ty, you said WebGoat isn't proxying traffic through Burp. Is your WebGoat lab and your Burp and the machine you're running Burp on, are they in the same net are they on the same network? That's the first thing I would check. However you set up WebGoat, make sure whatever machine you're using with Burp Suite is connected to that same network. So, for example, not that I recommend this, if you have Burp on your local machine, but your WebGoat is in a VM in a virtual environment, you might need to change your NAT settings to bridged. Um, or you might or yeah, or if it's a VM, then you want to make sure that they're both set up in the same environment. So, like I said, I don't know how your setup is, but you want to. Oh, they're both on the same Ubuntu machine, and they're not, and it's still not talking. Then, how'd you set up WebGo on the Ubuntu machine through Docker? What I would do is I would check to see if anything else proxies through burp, right? See if you can proxy anything else through burp. Yep. So you have a Docker in. So you spun up. So you have Docker. So you spun up Docker. You spun up WebGoat and Docker. So it should work. I don't know. I'm actually gonna be setting up WebGoat when we get to that. So may not. It's not gonna be today, but we're gonna set up WebGoat. All right. So all right. So let's get back to our screen share. But the reason why I was talking about, like I said, just regardless of whatever y'all working on or whatever work y'all do or whatever it is, I know it's easier said than done, and I know again with the job market being what it is that it's not a simple thing to do, but sometimes you gotta set boundaries. You gotta set boundaries, and sometimes you gotta let people know that you're not the one to be played with. Like these companies will try to play in your face. So make sure that you're whatever it is you're doing, you're of value, not just to them, but to anybody who are looking for that. Yeah, because boy, ooh, I'm trying to behave myself. Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me. I have imposter syndrome too, Canby. Like I still get it. Like that's why I try to tell people to walk your path and run your own race. Don't worry about what the next person. Don't even worry about what I'm doing. Just run your race and how you got to do it. Because that comparison or that imposter syndrome, that junk will set you back faster than anything else. All right, so HTTP in detail. So again, if I move too fast, tell me to slow down. Oh yeah, they definitely will, man. Like, so I'll keep it a buck with y'all. One of the last roles, one of the last cybersecurity roles before I got the role I had before I got laid off. It was a pen test. It was basically they ran me like a pen test puppy mill. And when we say pen test puppy mill, that means they put you on an assessment, and as soon as you're done with the assessment, they try to throw you on another one, right? Because all they care about, they care about the money. They don't care about the clients. They don't care. Heck, they don't even care about their pen testers. They care about the money, right? They care about the money that's coming in. So to give some context to the situation, I took the role. I was there for about a year and a half. I took the role because it was supposed to be a leadership role. They were starting out an offensive security operations group, and they wanted me to be the manager of that of that role of that department. So I took the role, and the guy who was running it was so basically it was going to be me and him until I got caught up to speed, and then it was my department. Well, I got there, and I guess you could say they underestimated me, but they quickly realized, oh, he doesn't need to really be brought up to speed. He's got it. Like they put me on a pen test by myself and knocked it out the park, and they were like, oh, okay, he's good. So so the guy left the department, but then when he left, they gutted everything that was in that department, right? So he had all the commercial tools. He had Metasploit Pro. He had was it Cobalt Strike? He, you know what I'm saying? Like he had all the bells and whistles. So they gave him all of that. But then when I came on board, they were like, "Oh, we don't have the budget," and they gutted. They cut everything. Right? They didn't renew it because at the time it was up for renewal like in like September. I think at that time I had started in like June. So anyway, so when September came around, they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't have any of these tools anymore." Like I remember actually fighting them for a Burp Suite professional license, and at the time, Burp Suite Pro was $400. I don't even think it was $400 yet, but it was $400. Let's just call it $400 for the story. I had to fight them for that, but whatever. I worked in a lot of shops that didn't really have much, so I didn't mind, you know, to pen testing the old school way. So, I couldn't do any like real cool red teaming stuff or any command and control stuff. But for the sake of the pen test that we were doing, whatever. So what ended up happening was, I started doing the pen test and they quickly became profitable because there was no overhead, right? They were paying my salary and it was just me. Now, mind you, this is supposed to be a department and I'm supposed to be the manager of the department. So I'm not even supposed to be testing. I'm supposed to be hiring people and have them test. And then I was supposed to QA over their stuff. Well, they said, "Oh, give it a couple months. Let's get some clients under our belts, and then once we have that money, then we could whatever." Couple months turned to 3 turned to 6 turned to 9, and so on and so forth. And I remember going to the annual meetings. We had to fly out to Ohio, and we had to go to the annual meetings, and it was like, "Yo, when are we gonna bring in this team?" And they were like, "Oh, well, they started stuttering and stammering and whatever over their words." So it was like, "Oh, okay." Well, while we were in that meeting, a request came in for a really big job. And like when I tell you, they were in there high-fiving, like you would have thought they were dancing like they were about to get out the hood with this one. Like they were they were about to get drafted by the league with this one. And I was sitting there in the meeting going, "All y'all dancing and celebrating, but I'm the one who's gonna have to do the work. And there's no way I can do that by myself. So we're gonna have to turn it down." And like everybody was like, "But it's so much money and da 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 da." And I'm like, "Yeah, but hey, you did if we hire some people right now, maybe we can do it, but we're gonna have to hire like some senior level people, some really experienced people to be able to withstand that. Like this can't be anything that we bring any junior pen testers onto." So they went back and we don't have the budget for it. All right, fine. So that was the first thing they were mad at me about. But then shortly after Christmas, it was literally like that Monday after Christmas, I was on a pen test. And from that day, I was on a pen test every month for the next like 6-7 months. I was on a pen test. Like I would work the pen test, I would write the report, and while we're in the process of doing the report readout, I'm doing a kickoff call for the next pen test. So it was literally like week 1 pen test, week 2 pen test, and then week 3 was finalizing the report and delivering the report draft to do the readout. And then then we would do the readout, they would accept the findings, we would deliver the final report, and then they would make the final payment. So as we were in the process of doing when they accepted it and then we do the final report, they would be like, "Okay, cool, we have another pen test." So I was literally doing you got burped to proxy other traffic, but not WebGoat. Did you download the burp? Did you download and upload the burp? Did you download the burp certificate from burp.com when you have the proxy on and then upload it into your browser? I mean, you should. I think you should have. It probably did it already if you're able to see the other traffic. But yeah, like I said, so we went through that, and then going through pen test after pen test after pen test, um, started having some family issues. Actually, had a really couple scary family emergencies. And I remember going to them and telling them like, "Yo, I gotta take a step back." Actually, I was on PTO. I took a little bit of PTO because I was like I was burnt out, so I took like a week of PTO. And then when I came back, I told them, the situations that were going on with me personally, that I wasn't really telling anybody, the stuff that I was dealing with, with family and stuff like that, and obviously the emergency, like, and when I say emergency, I mean it was literally like a situation like life or death. And I told them, I needed to take a step back to focus on the family issues. And at that time as well, I not only was I doing the pen test stuff, I was also doing their vulnerability management. I was helping out the sales team. I was helping out I was helping the sales team get pen test contracts. I was helping the marketing team with content from you know from stuff that we've done, or talking about vulnerability, or talking about breaches and stuff like that. Um, so I was like, hey, I can't do all these things, like, because so many people started quitting, and I didn't really pay attention because I was just, focusing on the job. But I really didn't. I should have read the room a little bit more when I started noticing some prominent people abruptly leaving the company. But anyway, I remember going to them saying, yo, I gotta, while I was on PTO, I was like, yo, here's the situation. I got to take a break from pen testing. Like, give me like a month. Because on top of that, I needed to recertify a couple certifications. If y'all remember when I did the AWS stream, when I was doing the AWS, recertifying my AWS stuff. No, that was last summer. I take it back. But anyway, I had to recertify one of my certifications. So I was like, let me take this month. It'll give me some time to study, but it also give me a break. But what happened was they started booking. They booked stuff for me while I was on PTO. So how it was supposed to work was they would come to me and say, hey, we have this client, the potential client, blah, 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 blah. Are you able to do it? And I would have to say yes or no. And then that's how it was supposed to work. But then after a while, they were just booking me, and they were just like, hey, you're booked. So while I was on PTO, they booked me for these assessments. And I was like, hey, I can't. I like, or maybe I could do one or two, but I can't do all the assessments that you had me, whatever, because like how it played out at that point, I would have been working on 3 different assessments. I would have been finalizing a report for one, finishing up another one, and then starting the third one at one point in time. And I remember telling them, yo, I can't. And I was like, I need to, do what I got to do and kind of help out, after my family. And I was told I was being selfish because I was looking after my family. So anyway, long story short, these people will try to gaslight you and guilt you and do whatever to get to play in your face. And sometimes you gotta set your boundaries and let it be known. Yeah, it can be, like I said, and I'm just kind of, I don't want to go through a whole stream of story time, but yeah, that like it got crazy to the point where it was like I said, it was like, yo, you're being selfish. I'm like, I'm being selfish. And it was like, you make us a lot of money, and although we understand that you got to do what you got to do to take care of your family, if you don't do this, you're going to affect people putting food on their families' plates. So you should stop being selfish and think of everybody else. Like that was something that was like legitimately said to me. And at that point I was like, oh yeah, y'all have lost y'all mother minds. So needless to say, like, so after some back and forth, like I said, I ended up leaving them, and then I was working for another company, and then we were working on a government contract, and it was with the state of Texas, and the state of Texas just canceled the contract. So once that happened, it was like they laid everybody off. So anyway, but like I said, I say that to say, like I said, don't let them play. Don't let them play, man. I understand. Yeah, man. Like honestly, I think having something you call your own in this day and time is important. Like I tell that to my kids. Like my daughter wants to go to school, go to college for law. My son wants to do stuff with engineering, or he even talked about tech and cybersecurity. But I try to tell them to make sure they have something of their own. I don't even care if it's making a ton of money. Just have something that's yours. This platform that I have, when I started it 2018, 2019, I didn't see the value in it. And the crazy part was I didn't see the value in it until somebody else saw the value. And then it was like, oh wait, hold on. Right? A company reached out to me and wanted me to be basically wanted me to take a job with them. And they offered me a lot of money at that time, because since then I've surpassed that. But that was the most money I had ever been offered at that point. But they wanted me to give up my intellectual property. They they tried to tell me that my content was a conflict of interest. Now, mind you, this job that I'm talking about that they were offering me had nothing to do with content. At least that's what I thought. It had nothing to do with content. So when they sent over the offer letter, every offer letter I get, I usually before I sign the offer letter, um, I send them back. I call it my prenup. So they send me an offer letter, and then I send them documentation back that's basically like, look, this is this is mine. Here's my information, trademark, whatever, for Alpha Cybersecurity, InfoSec Unplugged, right now Alpha Esports and Technology. But here's all my stuff. Here's all the stuff that I do. Here's all the content that I create. Here's the thing. Here's the live streams or the interviews or podcasts that I do. And here are the things that I am currently working on. Reason why is because when you read the fine print in some of these job contracts, they'll tell you anything that you create while employed, they have a right to or they own, right? And some of them will word it differently. Some of them will just say, "Oh, if you do it on company time, or if you do it using company equipment, then we own it," right? None of my stuff I do during company time, and I damn sure don't use their equipment on any of my stuff. But they'll try to say whatever. So this company in particular, they were like, "Yeah, no, it's a conflict of interest," and but if you want, you can do that, but it would have to be under us. So it was like they wanted me to they will either wanted me to give up my stuff altogether, or if I continued to do it, it would be they would own it. And I was like, that's not how that works. As a matter of fact, like, I'm gonna bring this to my lawyer, and we're both going to laugh at you. Um, and that's what happened. So, but at that point, when it was like, damn, they were willing to pay me this included in my salary for something that I wasn't really taking seriously at the time. So, the conversations are different when you own stuff. The conversations that you have in these job interviews and stuff like that, they're they're different. They're different than it's like it's almost not that they take you less serious, but for me at least, going in and then them seeing, oh, he has this, right? And again, I'm not paying I'm not paying like all of my bills with my stuff, but we do okay. Um, and that's just with the center. Before, when it was just Alpha Cybersecurity, like it was even less. Um, it wasn't a lot, but the fact that it was like the fact that I built it and then it grew legs and took off and and had a name on its own, and then how you present it is also important, because the other thing is like if you walk into a room and you're like then that's how they're going to perceive it, and that's how they're going to try to treat it and treat you. So like I said, make sure you have something that you own, and if you make money off of it, great. If you have an opportunity to make money off of it, great. But the other thing that happens is you'll get up, if it does turn out like Canby, you got your distribution, like the opportunities that's probably going to present when it blows up. Because like I said, you definitely got something with your distro. So the name recognition alone off of that's going to put you in so many rooms and in so many different conversations, where you might not make $1 off of the distro if you choose not to, but it'll land so many opportunities for you. It'll land speaking engagements. It'll land so many other things. So whatever you do, like I said, have something that you want to do that you own, because these days these companies, they're gonna do what they feel is best for them, right? So, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like I said, I've been spoiled now that I've been, doing the consulting thing for the last year and a half, and and I want to give a public apology to my people's, Marcus Bowie, uh, BSD Bandit, Charles Scherer, and JB John Brett, because and Tyrone Wilson, because the four of them on different occasions were yelling at me and telling me that I needed to go out and venture on my own, and I kept telling them, no, I need the job stability, I need the good benefits. What if I don't get paid? And now it's like, again, when I do it, I definitely get paid more than when I was on payroll. At least I should, when you break it down, right? Like I did in the one pen test I did last year, that paid me very well for like a one-time pen test. Hey, so but again, like, and that's the other thing. The other thing that I learned is that there's so many ways you can offer services in just about anything, man. Like real talk. So, um, the next thing I'm focusing on is trying to do cybersecurity stuff for like the super small businesses. Yeah, again, it's not going to be super lucrative, but there's a need for it. That's my next thing I want to do once we build that, because what I like my grand scheme, and I'm probably talking too much. My grand scheme is for any student that goes through me, I want to be able to present them opportunities to grow their skill set. So yeah, I might not be able to get you a corporate job. I mean, I do have some friends who are recruiters and stuff like that. But again, with this job market right now, I would feel horrible if I try to put these people in some of these positions and then they get laid off for no fault of their own. They get laid off because it's like wrong place, wrong time. Because you talk about imposter syndrome and mental health, nothing damages it more than a situation like that. Trust me, I know, because that, like, coming off of the situation that I left with the puppy mill, the pen test puppy mill, I had already, you're already questioning if you made the right decision, right? Because again, I was, it was a decent paycheck. It definitely wasn't. I was definitely underpaid, but I was paying the bills, right? Which in today's day and time is important. Paying the bills and putting food on your plate, especially as you know, husband, father, man of the house, head of the household. Like I take that personally. Like that, my job is to protect and provide. So, you know, you start to question: did you make the right decision, or did you let your ego get in the way? Um, and I know I made the right decision, but sometimes you like, oh man, I should have took it on the chin, or I should have whatever. And then so I was left questioning that, but then I had the other job, so I was like, all right, I ain't tripping about it too much. And then I get laid off from that, and that wasn't my fault either. That was, like I said, the contract got terminated early, and then the company was just like, yo, we got to let you go. So now you're stuck. You're unemployed, and yeah, you got some money saved off to the side or whatever, but it's like, damn, me and my big mouth, and you question that. So, you know, sorry. Um, so yeah, it definitely, it definitely can get challenging. Like I said, you know, the center's been great as far as being able to work with these kids. But like I said, the goal is to eventually, when we really get the cybersecurity stuff off the ground, I just got to get the time, man. Um, I want to be able to offer, you know, little things like, hey, there's this dental office that could use a vulnerability assessment, or there's this, urgent healthcare or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like try to find little things to kind of help them get, whatever, put some money in their pocket. And at least until we figure out what the hell is going on with the job market right now. Or like I said, or if they can, you know, put them in a position where it's like, hey, get some experience under your belt, and then try to do stuff on the side. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like yet, but all right. Anyway, HTTP, because I've been rambling for an hour now and we have not done anything. All right. HTTP. So HTTP is the hypertext transfer protocol, right? So that's basically the communication for web server, the communication language for web servers. It transmits the data from off the web page, whether it's pictures, video, code, HTML, what have you. Okay, so that's the hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, that's used anytime you view a website. And then you have HTTPS, which is the hypertext transfer protocol secure. So what that means is it's the same thing as HTTP, but it's secure, it's encrypted. So what happens, the difference between HTTP and HTTPS is that HTTPS, if you do anything in HTTP, there's a possibility that you can there's a strong possibility that if someone's sitting on your network, they'll be able to intercept anything that you put out in plain text. And plain text, remember, plain text is just as simple as the stuff. You did something, don't worry, I appreciate it. um yeah, plain text is literally the words as clear as the words you see, like this. HTTPS encrypts it, so people aren't able to see the data that you're sending and receiving. HTTPS also makes sure that you're communicating with the proper web server, right? Because like I was telling you yesterday with the young man who said his Roblox account got hacked because the person sent them a link and spoofed the website to make it look like it was the legitimate Roblox sign-in page, but it wasn't. If it was done in HTTPS, it would have confirmed that first. Okay, so anything you do on the web, it should be in HTTPS because it's secure. It used to be HTTP with SSL, but now it's TLS, and it should be TLS because SSL is out of date and insecure and vulnerable now. Okay. So URLs are known as a uniform resource locator. So when you type in www.google.com or www.tryhackme.com, whatever, that's the URL. Okay. So the URL, they says here, the URL is an instruction on how to access the resource on the internet. So you have your scheme. No problem, thumbstick. So you have your scheme, which is HTTP or HTTPS. Then you have your host domain. So tryhackme. You see, I kind of skipped right here. You have tryhackme.com, right? If there's a port, it's port 80. HTTP runs on port 80 by default. If it's HTTPS runs on port 443 by default. But anyway, you have your scheme, and then you have your host, and you have your host or domain, and then you'll have the path, right? And then you'll have whatever fragments or query strings or what have you. Okay, so this is all how this is how a URL would typically look. You see this user password at tryhackme.com. I mean, that's you're hardly ever going to see that in a URL these days. If you're using something like Burp Suite or something like that, you might intercept a full request like this. But what you'll typically see is the scheme, the domain, and then if there's a path. Most times you won't even see the port, right? Just know that if it's HTTP, it's running on port 80 by default. And if it's HTTPS, then it's more than likely running on port 443. And then whatever path or fragment. So you'll most likely see scheme, domain, path, and query string and fragment most times, right? But usually you'll just see scheme and host domain and then like a path. So if it's like tryhackme.com/web hacking, that's the path, right? And now remember, the path is different from a subdomain. So remember how yesterday we talked about top level domains, secondary domains, and then subdomains. So the for example, tryhackme.com/viewroom, that's a path. But if it were a subdomain, it would be viewroom.tryhackme.com. All right. So anything that goes before the domain, that's not like an @ but anything that goes before that would be a subdomain. Anything after, if you by a slash, is a path. Okay, hope I didn't lose y'all there. All right. So just to break down, scheme instructs what protocol is used, whether it's HTTP, HTTPS, or FTP for file transfer protocol, which we didn't talk about, but I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. User, some services require authentication to log in. You can put a username and password into the URL to log in. Again, you might see that internally. You won't really see that externally. Yeah, if it's a different application, then you'll see. Yeah, you're right, Camby. If you'll see SSH or SFTP or something like that. If it's a different application, but just for the sake of the web thing, yeah. All right. So the port usually tells you the port, the path, or the file name. Then you have it's the resource you're trying to access. Query string is any extra bit of information that can be sent to the requested path. And then you have your fragment. This is the reference to the location of the actual page requested. So it's possible to make a request to a web server with just get HTTP 1.1. So you have the request method, which is the get, and then the protocol version, which is HTTP 1.1. And then that's what's going to be requested. For much richer web experience, you'll need to send other data as well. The other data is sent what's called headers. Headers contain extra information to give the web server you're communicating with more information. And it says we'll get to that later. So You have a GET request again, and then HTTP, which is that, and then here's the host, tryhackme.com. The user agent will be what user agent you're using. So this is typically your web browser. If you're doing browsing from your phone or whatever, it'll usually tell you this, and then the refer is again the website information. Okay, so line 1, the request is sending a GET method, and we're going to break down the different methods in a second. But the request is sending a GET method to request a home page, and it's telling the web server that they're using HTTP protocol version 1.1. Line 2, which is the host, is telling the web server that they want to access the website tryhackme.com. Line 3, again, they're telling you that they're using Mozilla, so this is Firefox version 87. Line 4 is the refer, so this is the web page that's referred is tryhackme.com. And then line 5, this is blank to let you know that the request is done. So this is what you would get in the response, right? So this is the request. So remember, there's a request and a response. So when you send a request, you're saying, I would like to access this via this method, right? So you have get, post, put, patch, and delete, or options. But let's just focus on get, post, and yeah. So get would be, I would like to retrieve this information. Post would be, I'm posting this information, or I'm inputting this information. Same thing with put, right? Put and patch. Those are also similar to post methods where you're giving it information. So for example, if you wanted to access tryhackme.com, that would be a get request. But then if you wanted to log in with your account, that would be a post request, because you're giving it your username and password to input to the server. Okay. So that's how you get a request. When you get your response, you'll get something like this. You'll get this the method or and the version, so HTTP 1.1, and then you'll get this status code. So you'll get status codes, and then the status codes will give you information. So usually anything in the 200s usually means that it's a good that it went through successfully. Hold on. So usually, and like I said, wait, who is this? All right, sorry. Anyway, if you get anything that's usually 200s, that's usually something that's successful. If you get anything that's in the 300s, that means that your request or something had to be redirected. If you get something in the 400s, that means you did something wrong. That means you might want to check to see if you typed in the right web address or did you put in the right information, right? And then usually in the 500s, that means there's something wrong on the server end. So that means that there's something wrong on their end, okay? And then there's also 100s. The 100s is more informational. So 100s is going to give you a little bit of information. 200s means it's successful. And there's, again, and I'm just kind of giving you the ranges, because there's 201, there's 301, there's 404s, so there's different codes, but I'm just telling you generically, if you see something in those ranges, 100s will be informational, 200s will be that it was successful, 300s will mean that there was some type of redirect, so it redirected to another website, or it sent you to another web page or whatever. 400s means that there's something wrong on your end. 500s means that there's something wrong on their end. All right. So here, like I said, you see the 200 went. That means it was successful. The response server, is it 302 or 301? I think it's 301 redirect. I mean, all 300s redirect. Yeah, so a 302 redirect is known as a temporary redirect. And then the 301 is a permanent redirect. So that's the difference between 302 and 301. But like I said, the ranges are still valid. Okay. What is going on? Is there some type of so we're next to a dance studio. And I'm not gonna lie, that dance studio is popping. Like if I had half the people that dance studio get, like I could probably do this full time. Like that dance studio stay jumping. Like I'm trying to see if I can get, like, y'all gotta have like little brothers or dads or something who are looking for something to do while y'all are having y'all dance practice or your rehearsals or your recitals. I need to get into that. But anyway, um, so yeah, so here's your example response. So basically, this is what it looks like on the back end, right? So when you go to a website, you might see, oh, welcome to Try Hack Me and all that other stuff, and it looks nice. But on the back end, this is generically or typically what it would look like. Okay. So again, just kind of breaking down the lines. Line one is HTTP 1.1, the version of the HTTP protocol. Then you also see the status code 200 OK, which means the request completed successfully. Line two tells you that the web server software version number, so the server was in Nginx, and it's 1.15.8. Um, number line three is the current date, time, and time zone of the web server. So again, you see Friday, April 9th, 2021, till 1:34 p.m. General Mountain Time, right? Line four is the content type header. So it's going to tell you if it's any information like HTML images, videos, PDF, XML files. Line five is the content length that lets you know how long the response is to make sure that no data is missing. Line six is the HTTP response, is like that's a blank here. And then 7 through 14 is the information that's being requested. Now, just I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when you do web app pen testing and stuff like that, like you want to look for information. You want to look at this type of information as well, right? This is why proxying with Burp Suite and stuff like that is important, because it gives you this information. So as a pen tester, first thing I'm doing is I'm looking at the status code to see if it's going to give me any information. Honestly, I would try to see if I can make it. Hold on one second, y'all. Anyway, so yeah, I'm looking at I'm looking at that, seeing if I'm also gonna see. No, you're good. You're good, fam. Um, See if I can try to make it give me some type of error, some type of 400 status code to see what shows up, what pops up in the body section of the response. Server in Nginx. I'm looking. I'm I'm googling this. I'm googling the server information, or I'm using a tool called SearchSploit in Kali because I'm looking to see if there's any vulnerabilities from this version of Nginx. I'm looking to see if this is the current version of Nginx, right? So I'm Googling that. Date and time, not so much. Content type, I might mess around with the content type. Content length, I'll pay attention to that if I'm trying to do some fuzzing and stuff like that as well. Only thing that for the date and time, if for some reason the date and time is off, right? If it's off, then I might pay attention to it. But if it's accurate or whatever. But like I said, but I'm looking up here, looking up here, I'm looking here, I'm keeping this in mind, and then I'm looking at whatever's in the body. Do you think web app? Hell yeah, web app labs are helpful. Absolutely, web app labs are helpful. Um, WebGoat, what's Matilda? uh, what's the other one? Buzz. Oh, jeez, hold on. There's one that has all of them together. The free version of Pen Tester Lab. Um, is it B box? I think it's B box or BWAP. Yes, BWAP. And BWAP is old actually, but hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, Ty, for web app. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way you're gonna do it. Unless you're gonna try to do it on the spot on the job, but I wouldn't recommend it. Shoot, Portswigger Academy. You're using Burp Suite. Use go to Portswigger Academy. Here, I'll put it in here. And like I said, I had all this on my old blog stuff, but I gotta rebuild that site. And then there's a machine that actually has, I want to say it has Matilde, BWAP, and a few of the beginning stages of Pen Tester Lab. Like I said, in Pen Tester Lab, they have a free version and a paid version. And then yes, the OWASP Juice Shop is definitely another one. And then when you want to get to APIs, there's oh shoot, I done put that in there or not. And again, I'm just we're covering we're gonna do all of these, or we're gonna do some of all of these. We're not gonna complete all of them, but we're definitely going to do a lot of them. And then for crappy for APIs. So yeah, like I said, there's active. Which like you're actively working on bug bounties, or you're doing the bug bounty trainings? Because I know HackerOne has Hacker 101. Okay. So anyway, so that covered HTTP, and then we already talked about HTTP methods. So we talked about GET. So GET is to get information, POST is to submit information, PUT is to submit data to update information, and then there's delete. There's a few other requests, but these are the main ones that you'll deal with. So there's GET, POST, PUT. Then there's also patch, which is the same thing as PUT. And then there's delete, and then there's options. And you would use options if you wanted to see what HTTP methods are allowed on the server. All right. And then we talked about status codes, right? So again, status codes, 100s are information, 200s are success, 300 means there's a redirection, 400 means there's a client error, so that means you did something, 500 is a server error. Okay, and then here's a couple common ones. So 200, the status and the request was completed successfully. A 201 was the resource was created, for example, a new user or a blog post. 301s, that means the redirect to a new web page and it's been there permanently. 302 is found, so it's similar, but it's a temporary redirect because it might change in the future. 400 is a bad request. 401 means you're not authorized. 403 is you don't have permission. 405 is the method that you use isn't allowed. 404 is the web page or the resource doesn't exist. And then 500 is there's an internal service error. And then 503 is that the service can't be handled at the moment because it's down or it's unavailable. I'm actively doing bug bounties on HackerOne, and I looked on Bugcraft. Oh, so you're actually doing bug bounties? Okay. Okay. So yeah, so that is, so we covered that, right? And now let's see headers. So let's go into the headers. Okay. So when dealing with headers, this is just more information that you can get. You can get although no headers are strict, headers aren't required, but they're there. So when dealing with headers, you have the host headers. So some web servers host multiple websites. So by providing the host headers, you can tell it which one you require. Then you have the user agent. So this is your browser software and version number. The content length, we talked about the content length when sending data over a web server. Um, the content length tells the web server how much data to expect in that request. Okay. Then you have accept encoding. So this will tell the web server what type of compression methods the browser supports. If there's any type of cookie, so any data that's sent to the server to help remember your information. There's also a couple of, well, let me make sure I'm not jumping ahead. Okay, yeah, and then there'll be other things, right? Like if you have any type of authorization tokens, you'll see that in the header. You'll usually see like an anti-CSRF token that's used to protect you from any cross-site request forgery, protect the website, I should say. So there's a bunch of different headers, but these are the most common ones you'll typically see, right? And then like I said, you also get some type of authorization or authentication header. And like I said, that's usually nowadays it's usually a JSON web token. Okay. Common response headers, you'll see the set cookie. So this is information stores to see what gets sent back to the web server. Cache control, they'll tell you how long to store that information or that content from the the response. The content type, it'll tell you what type of data is being returned, whether it's JavaScript, a PDF, a video, a document, HTML, and then also content encoding. What method is being used to compress the data to make it smaller to send over the internet. All right. Whew. So cookies. So cookies are pieces of data that is stored on your computer. And what the cookie does is it saves that information so that any other request that you make will have that information to kind of make the process go faster. All right. So they say cookies are saved when you receive the set cookie header from a web server. Then every further request you make, you'll send the cookie data back to the web server. Because HTTP is stateless, which means it doesn't keep track of your previous requests. The cookies can be used to remind the web server of who you are, some personal settings for the website, or whether or not you've been to the website before. So usually, like I said, a cookie will get passed through when you log in, right? And then every time you go anywhere on that website, there's a cookie that says, oh, this is an active session. They logged in. Here's their information, right? That's why the cookies are important to attackers, because if they're able to retrieve your session cookies, then they might be able to actually hijack your browser session. Now, so like I said, so you can, there's certain cookies. So every website will ask you if you want to accept cookies, Eric. But there's some that, but if you actually look and read it, it'll say that it accepts the ones that are needed anyway. These other cookies that they're asking you to whatever is optional, right? That again, those cookies are also to make that there's is said to make the browsing history, to make the browsing experience smoother, faster, or whatever. So it stores that information the next time around or whatever. Sometimes the cookies can get used for for the web purposes. Yeah, it'll still let you because it's not, you're not declining all the cookies, right? There's some cookies that F them. There's some cookies that get stored by default anyway, right? So those cookies, the cookies that they're typically asking about, usually that like they're optional. All right. So here you go. Client requests web page from the cookies.thm. Right. Server responds back with a simple web page form. Client sends back the form with the cookie with the form of Adam. The server responds with the set cookie header telling the client to save the data, save the name Adam. On the next and every further request, the client sends the cookie data back to the server saying, "Hey, this is Adam." The server then sees that sees the cookie data, and instead of displaying the form, displays a welcome back message instead. Okay. Making a request. View the site. This is an emulator. Would you like to take a guided tour? No. Okay. All right. So if we do a get request to tryhackme.com, right? We have, so this is what it looks like in the get request. If we do tryhackme.com/room and we hit go, you see it gives us again the 200 status okay. Again, the server, content type, content length, last modified, right? Okay, and then we'll say, and then it says blog, and then it says set the parameter to 1. So, and set the ID parameter to 1. So ID 1. Proceed. Now we hit go. So 400 is a bad request. It says it's missing a get parameter. Make a get request log. Okay, sure. And then in here, set the ID parameter to 1 in the URL field. Oh, am I supposed to do? No, but it says proceed. Why is it not showing up here? Whatever. Because it should say ID. Okay. I set the ID parameter to 1 in the URL field. Sure. So ID equals 1. Save, proceed, go. Okay, so it did go through. Okay. All right. I was just trying to see why it didn't show up in the browser. Make a delete to request. Okay. Make a delete request to user 1. So we'll do delete, and then it says user 1, save, proceed, go. Oh, wait, because I did. User 1, go. And then post the username of THM and a password of let me in to log in. So we're going to hit post. And then THM, and then delete the parameter request from the last task, and add 2 more. Okay, so you want to do it in here. Okay. Username THM, save, password Let me in. Proceed. Log in. Go. Save. Proceed. Go. It makes you want to save it. Okay. All right. So again, I mean that's basic. Funny thing is when you start messing around with Burp Suite, you'll actually probably mess around with the parameters and things like that as well. Not like this, but it's similar. And like I said, you'll see when we get to that point. All right, so we are done here. So we can back up out of here. Now we need to go into pre-security again. Let's check out. Why aren't you loading? Thank you. How the web works. So now we have two more. So we have how websites work. And again, this is going to be fairly quick, but again, if you want to chime in, just go right ahead in the chat. So let's see how websites work. So when accessing a web server or a website, you'll have like you saw before, you'll have a request and then you'll have a response. So here you'll have your client or your browser. And where did my chat go? Did a signal drop? Okay, no, we're good. Okay, so you'll have your client and then you'll have your server, or you'll have your browser and you'll have your server. So you'll make the request from your web browser, from your machine, whether it's your PC, your laptop, your mobile device, whatever. You'll make the request from that browser. That request gets sent over the internet, and then it reaches the server. The server then processes that request, and then it submits a response. And then when it submits a response, it pushes it back through the internet to the browser. All right. So same thing here. So when you visit a website, your browser makes a request to the web server asking for information for the page you're visiting. It'll respond with the data to your browser your browser uses to show you the page. Web server is just a dedicated computer somewhere else in the world that handles your requests. So like I said, you have your browser or your client, then you have your server. Okay, then there's two parts of a website. You have the front end, which is the client side, the way your browser renders a website, and then you have the back end, the server side, and that's how the server that processes your information. So there's many other processes that are involved, but now you just need to know that about the front end and back end. Okay, so HTML. So websites are usually used with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So HTML stands for the hypertext markup language, and that's what websites are usually written in, right? So they use elements that are known as tags, and those are basically the building blocks of the web page, and it tells you how to display the content. All right, so now you'll see it's an HTML here, and then this is the header tags, and then here's your title. So it'd be the page title, and then here's your header 1 tag, and then here's a paragraph, and then that closes up the body, and then that closes up that HTML. Okay, so the HTML element, that's the root element of all HTML pages. All other elements come after that. So this would be the first thing that you would type in, HTML. Then the header is the information about the page. So this is your page title, or like the title of the document or whatever. Then the body, that defines the HTML document's body. So the content on the inside is shown in the browser. I hate the web, right? Then you have the H1, that defines that it's a large heading. So you have H1, H2, H3, H4, and then that just defines the size of the header. And then you have the slash, you have the P, and that tells it it's a paragraph. Okay, so let's just do this real quick. I'm actually doing the wrong one. That's let's go to inspect element. Damn it. Can you see this? No, you won't be able to. All right. So I was trying to actually show y'all what this website looks like in HTML. So I have to share it differently. So we'll share the whole window. All right. So here you see HTML. Websites are primarily created using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? So we need to find, so in order to find that, here is your header. So here's your, as you can see, there's a bunch of JavaScript in here, and we're going to be getting into JavaScript in a little bit. It gives you information on the fonts, on the sizes, and things like that. Okay. YouTube, iframe scripts. Here's your body. You need to enable JavaScript. So like I said, you see there's a lot more to it than just when you start dealing with more of the websites. Now I'm just trying, let me see if I can find. Hide this console. Let's see here. All right, so there. Why is it not? Why did it stop sharing? Oh, damn it! Hold on, y'all. Why did it stop sharing? What is that? All right, so anyway, all right, let's just move ahead. So I was trying to, like I said, I was just showing y'all what HTML, what it looks like on this website per se. I was trying to actually see if I can find the exact area. Let me close. Actually, I'm gonna close all this up, and then so you can see. Now let me try sharing the whole window again. All right. So again, you see you have your HTML here, and like I said, everything starts and ends with these HTML tags. Then you have your header information that will give you. So basically, that header information is everything you see up here on how websites work, right? And then you see to exploit a website, you first need to know how they're created. So after you get through all this JavaScript stuff here, you'll see you get all the way down here, and then it says content, right? And it actually says that's the meta name for the title. To exploit a website, you first need to know how they're created. And then right underneath it, you have your YouTube window, which is this right here with this YouTube link. Okay. And then you go into the body. So let's just close this up. And then you go into the body of the information. And now that's displaying this information here. And as you can see, there are other sections. And as we are scrolling through the code, it's kind of highlighting or giving us an idea of where we're at within on the web page, right? So anytime you see, like you see it right here, and these are dividers. Here's the footer down here. So there's a whole bunch of information when doing HTML stuff. I I recommend messing with HTML a little bit just to kind of get a feel for it. It's not mandatory, but it doesn't hurt. Okay. After you deal with HTML, hold on. One of the things, a cat. What is it? Oh, we're not going to do the exercise. After that, we'll go into. So then after that, you have JavaScript. So JavaScript is another coding language. It's actually one of the more popular coding languages, and that allows that. And the reason why is because it allows your website to be interactive. Um, it allows you to kind of have certain functionalities and stuff with the website. So HTML is basically just kind of creating the overall structure. That would be the skeleton. JavaScript would kind of be like a lot of the functionality. So the joints and things like that. So without JavaScript, it says without JavaScript, the page would not have any interactive elements. It would be static. JavaScript can dynamically update the page in real time, giving functionality to change the style of a button when a particular event on the page occurs. So that's like when a user clicks a button or anything like that. So all of this here, this is JavaScript, right? So if you were to click this or whatever, that would be JavaScript. Ouch. Then you have sensitive data exposure. So sensitive data exposure happens when a website doesn't properly protect or remove clear text information that might be sensitive to the end user. So this is usually found in the source code, right? So one of the things you'll do in application security are source code reviews, or you might have to look at like do architectural reviews and stuff like that. These are certain things that you might look for. You might look to see if there's any type of sensitive information, if there's any like hard-coded passwords or hard-coded keys, any hard-coded API information. Again, the idea is to find as much information as possible to use to your advantage. So that's sensitive data exposure. Okay. And then lastly, you have HTML injection. So HTML injection is a vulnerability that occurs when user input goes unfiltered, and it allows you to display it on the page. So if a website fails to sanitize proper input, or if it fails to sanitize input properly, and the inputs added to the page, the attacker can also inject HTML code to a vulnerable website. So when dealing with websites, it's important to do input sanitization, because what it does is it basically takes the power away from certain commands or queries, right? When you sanitize input, you're making sure that you're not putting anything in there that could cause that can be injected, right? You don't want to be able to put a query like a SQL query or an HTML query or something like that in the web page and have it actually return that information, right? Think of cross-site scripting. You want to make sure that your input is sanitized so that when you put in those script tags, it's not triggering on the back end to show that it's to show vulnerable that it's vulnerable to cross-site scripting. Stumbling over my words here. All right, so let's just see what this one does. Ouch. Ouch. Ow. All right. So we say, what is your name? Please subscribe. right? So then it says, welcome, please subscribe. So that basically shows, right, that's what it's supposed to do. You type in your name and it gives you that information. So if we were to add any type of HTML, I would do something like this. Is it bold? I think it's bold. It's not bold. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'll just do this. H2 / H2, say hi. So now if you look, it took my please subscribe and made it a header. Right? What if I wanted to underline? Please subscribe. I think it wasn't bold, it's strong. I think that's the one I'm looking for. Please subscribe. So you see it made it bold. So when you're testing for HTML injection, it's literally just kind of throwing these tags in here. Now, let me see. I'm just out of curiosity. Okay, nah, that's not going to work. Okay. All right, so we go back to H2. Go back to H2. So again, these are things that you would do for this is what you would do for HTML injection. If you see that, then that means it's vulnerable. If you're able to do that, that means it's vulnerable. And honestly, you would then start looking to see what other injection vulnerabilities it could be vulnerable to. So you would check to see if it's vulnerable to cross-site scripting or SQL injection. All right. Hold on. My hand hurts. My hand hurts. Why won't you let me do? Okay, fine. You won't let me do it that way. Ouch. What if I did it with an image tag? img src equals. Oh no, you keep that. Okay, but it did the image source. Which one are you specifically? Ow! My hand is like spasming. Okay, fine. I'll do this one then. Okay. Okay. Hurts. Ouch. Okay. this one. Since you want to be difficult. And he says it wants to be http://hacker.com. Oh, come on. This hurts. Oh, I'm supposed to be making a link. I'm trying to go directly to the website. Duh. And then you have to go here, and then you make the link, and it says, please subscribe, and then we'll close it. There you go. That's what I wasn't paying attention, y'all. I kept just trying to put the link and not actually making a link. So anyway, and then if you click it, it gives you that, right? So we'll just to show you one more time. And then it says the answer is HTML injection. All right, so that's how we got that. Ouch. All right, so we are done with that one. So we can close out of that. And now we come back to, ow. Yo, I don't know what's happening. It hurt. All right, now we have, I think we have one more left, right? Because we did, yep, putting it all together. And like I said, this should be another quick one. So, and putting it all together, they're going to summarize it. So when you first make your request in your browser, what happens is your browser is going to search your DNS information to look up the IP address with DNS. Then it's going to connect to that web server. And then when the web server gets that information, it'll return that information back to you, to your browser. Okay. Load balancers. Load balancers are usually used when it's like a popular website or a website gets a lot of traffic, and they have issues and they want to make sure that they're protected against any type of availability issues. They need to make sure that they have what is known as high availability. So what that means is they have multiple servers to process the requests that come into the website, right? Because obviously, if one server gets overloaded with too many requests, it's going to slow down the process or cause a denial of service for everybody. As opposed to if you have multiple servers, then they're able to balance the load, right? So they'll send a few requests to this server, a few requests to this server, a few requests to this server, and this way it keeps it balanced. Also, it'll help protect if one of the servers were to go down for any reason, right? Let's say the server lost power or the server crashed. You still have two other servers to keep things running. Okay. So, what does TryHackMe say? When website traffic starts to get quite large or is running on an application that needs to have high availability, one web server might no longer do the job. Load balancers provide two main features, ensuring high traffic websites can handle the load and providing a failover if one server becomes unresponsive. When you request a website with a load balancer, the load balancer will receive your request first and then forward it to one of the multiple servers behind it. The load balancer uses different algorithms to decide which server is best ideal to deal with the best to deal with the request. A couple of examples of these algorithms are round robin, which it sends when it sends data to each server in turn, or weighted, which checks how many requests the server is currently dealing with and sends it to the least busy server. Load balancers also perform periodic checks with each server to ensure they are running correctly. This is called a health check. If a server doesn't respond appropriately or doesn't respond, the load balancer will stop sending traffic until it responds appropriately again. Then you have a content delivery network, or a CDN, right? So this allows you to host static files from your website, like JavaScript, CSS, and then host it across multiple servers. So CDNs can be an excellent resource for cutting down traffic on busy websites. It allows you to host static files from your website, such as JavaScript, CSS, images, videos, and host them across thousands of servers across the world. When a user requests one of the hosted files, the CDN works out where the nearest server is physically located and sends a request there instead of potentially to the other side of the world. Then you have databases. Databases basically they're exactly what it sounds like. It stores a lot of data, and when you look for certain information or you go to make certain requests, it's going to check with that database, right? When you check your username and password, it's going to make a request to the database to see if there are records of that user existing. Okay, TryHackMe says often databases will need a way of storing information for their users. Web servers can communicate with databases to store and recall data from them. Databases can range from just a simple plain text file up to complex clusters of multiple servers, providing speed and resilience. You'll come across some common databases like MySQL, Microsoft SQL, MongoDB, Postgres, and more, and each has its specific features. And then you have a web application firewall. Web application firewall is similar to what we were saying with the Windows firewall, but it's for web traffic. So a WAF sits between your web request and web server. Its primary purpose is to protect the web server from hacking or denial of service attacks. It analyzes the web requests for common attack techniques, whether the request is from a real browser rather than a bot. It also checks if an excessive amount of web requests are being sent, utilizing something called rate limiting, which will allow a certain amount of requests from an IP per second. If a request is deemed a potential attack, it will be dropped and never sent to the server. Okay, so it's the same concept that we were talking about before. A web firewall is going to look at the request, says, "Hey, I want to get in. I want to go to this server. I want to go here." It's going to check it, make sure that it's clean, make sure that it's legit, and then pass it through. If it deems it suspicious or it says it's not supposed to pass through, it drops it. Okay, so how does web servers work? So web servers is software that listens to incoming connections and then utilizes the HTTP protocol to deliver the content to its clients. The most common web server software you'll come across is Apache, Nginx, IIS, and Node.js. A web server delivers files from what's called its root directory, which is defined in the software settings. For example, Nginx and Apache share the same default location in the var www HTML for Linux operating systems. IIS uses in the C drive the inet pub www root for Windows operating systems. So for example, if you requested example.com picture JPG, it would send a file to var HTML picture JPG from its local hard drive. And again, that would be if it's on a Linux machine. Web servers can host multiple websites with different domain names to achieve to do this. They use virtual hosts. A web server software checks the host name being requested from the headers and matches it against the virtual host. Virtual hosts are just text-based configuration files. If it finds a match, the correct website will be provided. If no match is found, the default website will be used instead. Virtual hosts can have their root directory mapped to different locations on a hard drive. For example, 1.com being mapped to var www website 1 and 2.com being mapped to var www website 2. There's no limit to the different websites you can host on a web server. Then you have static versus dynamic content. So just like everything else, static is it's uh it's static. It stays, it's there, it's posted, it's still, it doesn't move. Dynamic allows you to is content that can change. Okay. So static content is the content that never changes, right? So these are pictures, JavaScript, CSS, but they can also include HTML. Okay, dynamic content is content that could change with different requests. For example, a blog, on the homepage of the blog, it'll show the latest entries. If a new entry is created, the homepage is then updated with the latest blog entry. Okay, so that's dynamic. These changes to what you end up seeing are done is called backend with the use of programming and scripting language. It's called backend because what is being done is behind the scenes. You can't view the website's HTML source and see what's happening in the backend, while HTML is the result of the processing from the backend. Everything you see in your browser is on the front end, and then you have your scripting and backend languages. So when dealing with, so then that's your PHP, your Python, Ruby, Perl, Node.js. Those are your scripting languages for backend. All right, and then lastly, we have a quiz. So we'll just go ahead and go here. What are we supposed to be doing? We learned drag and drop the tiles in the correct order of how a web request. Okay, so you said here, then it's going to query your recursive DNS, and it's going to query the root DNS. Oh, actually, that needs to go down, because it needs to check the local cache for the IP address. Then it's going to check your recursive server. Then it's going to check your the root server. Ouch. Ay. Then we're going to get it needs to pass through the firewall. Ow. Firewall, load balancer. Nope. Authoritative. Okay, put this back here. It's going to connect, talk to the database. All right. So there's the whole order. So again, you make a request to try hack me. It's going to check your local cache. Then it's going to check the recursive DNS server. If it's not there, it's going to query the root server to find the authoritative answer. After the authoritative answer is going to advise the IP address for the website. It's going to pass over the internet, and it's going to get to the request is going to get to the server's web application firewall. If it deems that it's good, it'll go through the load balancer to make sure that it doesn't have any issues. Then it's going to connect to the server on 443, because remember we did HTTPS, or it was supposed to be HTTPS. The web server receives that GET request. And when it receives the GET request, the server starts talking to the database to get that information, and then it sends that information back. And with that, I believe we're done. All right, because now I'm sharing. We're back to me again. Because if we come back here and go to learn, and then we go to pre-security, and then how the web works, Yep, we just put it all together. So we have finished um, the pre-security portion of Try Hack Me. So now we can get into the foundations or cybersecurity 101, which, as you can see, we covered most of it. Like I said, there's some command line stuff, but I think, like I said, I think we're gonna skip. I think we might jump ahead a little bit. I don't know. Let me know what do y'all think? Should we mess with the command line some more? Should we mess with? I mean, we're gonna be doing. We're definitely gonna be messing with Linux shells anyway. I'm wondering if we need to do. Let me see. Oh, these are search skills. So we did that. We did that. I mean, and I feel like we did some of these already, didn't we? We talked about the OSI model. Yeah, so we don't really need to do these again because we did this in the basic stuff. I mean, it's gonna probably. I mean, it looks like it'll go into a little bit more detail, but we talked about the different layers. We talked about the OSI layer. We talked about all of this. We talked about the TCP/IP model. We talked about IP addresses and subnetting. Yeah, so I don't think we really need to. I don't think we need to do this again. I mean we could, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so we're gonna skip this. Yeah, we don't need to do networking concepts because we covered that a little bit earlier. So how about cryptography? We talked about I know we talked about cryptography. So we don't need yeah, we don't need to worry about cryptography. It's interesting that it's interesting that they want to jump into. Okay, that's Active Directory. Well, we don't need to worry about that. It jumps into exploitation. So no, I think we're just gonna jump. We're gonna jump right into to web hacking. I think we're gonna go right into web hacking, and then we'll go into offensive security tooling. Yeah. So the next things we'll do is web hacking, offensive security tooling, and then I'll leave it to y'all to let if y'all want to cover defensive. But yeah, next week we're gonna do web hacking and offensive security tooling. I think we're gonna do those two, and then from there I think we'll jump into junior pen tester. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And then the funny part is, like I said, that we're gonna cut. Looks like we'll cover these a couple times. Will we do any red teaming? Maybe. Let's see. All right. So starting Monday, we're gonna do web hacking and offensive security tooling. We're gonna cover those two modules, and then after we cover those two modules, we're going to jump down into the penetration tester path, and then we're going to basically cover web. We're going to cover junior pen tester. We're going to cover web fundamentals, and then we're going to cover web app pen testing. Then from there, I think we'll jump into security engineer. And we'll do the introduction. We'll do threats and risks. We'll basically do all of section 4, and we'll jump around a little bit in section 3. All right, so that's going to be the path. The path is going to be web hacking and offensive security tooling. Then we'll jump into the penetration tester path. We're going to do we're going to do these 3, and then we're going to do security engineer and DevSecOps. All right. So we're going to do those, and then in between them, we'll set up. We'll go back and work on our lab. Yeah, I like that idea. Actually, ooh. We'll use Nmap. We'll go to Nmap too. All right. So we'll do. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I think we have a path. We have a path forward. All right, y'all. So it is 6:00. We are now going a little over 2 hours. Honestly, most of that was me rambling and yapping. But I said, I hope everything worked out. I'm going to actually, I'm probably not even going to stop the stream. What I'll probably end up doing is I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to run and go get me something to drink, and then we'll go through the process of we'll see if we can go through the process of getting some of these cameras set up. I don't know. Let's see what happens. All right, but I'll be right back. Just sit tight. All right, we took a break. We are back. So, jeez. Okay, so we finished up the when web. Yeah, we just finished up web fundamentals. Yeah, I had to I had to go and grab me some Powerade and stuff. Run down a couple doors down and then talk to them. Okay, so what do we want to do now? Do we want to set up these cameras? Sure. Why the not? All right. So, what time is it? 6:15. Yeah, we got time. Because I don't want to start up any type of gaming stuff and then gotta drop off. So, and I promise I'm gonna get back to the making a fool of myself with Minecraft. Actually, I want to do that, and then, like I said, I want to go back to Rainbow Six as well. All right, so what I'm gonna do here in this process with these cameras is let me see if I can find the so I'm going to share my screen real quick. If you're interested, I could put the link in the website on here. So basically, the Wise cameras, version 3 of the Wise cameras, or basically anything version 3 and older, allowed you to had a beta feature that would allow you to use RTSP. And what RTSP does is basically allows you to do real-time streaming. So RTSP stands for real-time streaming protocol. So so it used to be a beta feature, but then they got rid of it. But there's still a way to flash the Wise cameras to unlock that RTSP feature. So what we're going to do, or what we've been doing, and that's what I showed y'all before, is using the RTSP feature of the Wise cameras to so here's the cameras. So these are going to be our cameras for for like our events. So we can use that. And then the great part about them is they're IP cameras. So I don't have to worry about plugging them into like a webcam, plugging them into USB, or anything like that. I can actually get a powered USB hub, which is the next thing I need to go ahead and order. So let me go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a powered USB hub that I can plug these into over there by my PCs. If you don't remember, I'll put that up on the screen in 1 second. Let me see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 8? I think that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's 7. Whatever. Okay, so we have one in cart, so we can go here. All right, cool. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to share this window now. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to put the cameras either on top of the PCs, or I'm going to get like stands and you can kind of see them from a side, like a side view. But what's going to happen is eventually each station is going to have one of these cameras on here. And then when we do our esports events or anything like that, you'll get this view. So let me see. Let me see. Let me do RLCS. Right. actually. Let me see. So let's move this over here for a second. And then let's change our window. So do you see how, actually, I don't see much of anything right now, do you? Let's try that again. There we go. So do you see how, can I zoom in? Let's make it bigger, and then let's move my face over here. So you see how, look at the Call of Duty one, right? You see here how you have the gamer, right? The athlete, their name, and then their stats for this match. My vision is to have something similar to that for here. So when we have our events, it'll have our athlete, and then like for example, the Fortnite stuff, it'll have our athlete, and then it'll have their shields, and it'll have their health, and then go from there, right? So I think that's where that's what I'm thinking about doing a setup like that. Now, if you look at how most esports do their cameras, I mean, it's a full production, right? So we don't unfortunately, we're not quite there yet to use the stuff that they're using, right? So let's see if we can kind of give you an example. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to be able to give you that. I'm trying to look for whatever. So basically what we're, like I said, so we're trying to do this. We're trying to make it a little bit more cost effective. And I think this is a good solution for it. Right? Because I think right now the cameras that they use, they have a bunch of different cameras that they use, but they're not cheap, right? I think like when I was looking before, some of the older esports events use like the Marshall POV cams. So let's see if we can. All right, so I mean, just off of a quick, where are we? Just off of a quick Google search, you'll see that POV cameras, $500. This one is almost like a GoPro, so that's like $60. What, $530, $530, $429, $109, right? $269, $529. So we're looking to be a little bit more cost effective, and we're going to try that with this. And if it works, then awesome. If not, then hey, we tried. So anyway, the okay, so you see the struggle, thumbstick. So but so what I've learned with the, let's go back to the GitHub page. So what I've learned with these Wise cameras is you can download the firmware, right? The firmware was last updated for version 3 was in 2021. I don't want to right. So in order to install it, you just have to get an SD card, and then once you get the SD card, you plug it up, and you boot it. Now, what I learned is you don't want to just get any SD card, right? You want to make sure you're using an SD card that has little space, right? So when I first tried it, I think I had a 128 gig SD card, and it wouldn't work. It just kept it wouldn't. I was trying to, when it was trying to boot, it wouldn't go through the process properly. So what you have to do is you have to get a 32 gig. Come on. I spent all this money on this camera. Come on. Okay, whatever. You have to get like a 32 gig or smaller. And now because I did all the hand gestures, it's going to start following me all over the place. So you're going to follow me all over the place, but you're not going to focus in on what I need you to focus in on. So you get, like I said, you get a 32 gig. Actually, I've done it with like an 8 gig SD card as well. But you want to get it. You want to get that, and then you just plug that in. There's There's like a spot here for the SD card. So you just put that in there for the SD card. And then once you do that, you need to plug power to it. And again, like I said before, they run off a USB power. Actually, they do have an option if you want to plug directly in, but I think you can run off a USB. Ah, geez. Well, I guess this isn't getting returned. But so it has a space here, and then here's the extension cable. So you just plug that in. Yeah, it's this. Like I said, all because when I started doing these hand gestures, and this camera, the AI responds to the hand gesture. So I accidentally gave it the hand gesture, and now it thinks I want it to follow me everywhere. So now it's going to track all my movements, and it's going to keep zooming in. Right. All right. So I might just have to. I think I have to plug it into power, but I'm going to see if I could just plug directly in here. So now what you're going to see is when it starts to boot up, it's going to go red, and then it's going to go blue when it's ready, or it's going to starts blinking like this first, right? You don't want it to do that. So what you do is you plug it in, and then, or you unplug it. You unplug it, and then as you plug it in, you have to hold the setup button, and then that's going to basically tell it that you want it to basically reformat. So you got to hold the setup button as you hit here, and now you have to hold it. I don't know if you can see. You have to hold it until it goes purple, which it did. It looks blue, but it's actually purple. So after it does that and it kind of goes through its process, it will tell me that it's ready to be stop. It's not. Did I get it to stop? Okay. Nope, I didn't. Once it's done going through the process, it you should hear it say um ready for setup. I heard it click, and then from there you have to download the Wise app on your phone to go through the process of setting it up. Stop doing that. Okay, see now I have to go back and check the hand gestures again on how to get it to behave itself. What happened? No, man, it's yeah, it's messing with me. And then the crazy part with this camera is that oh, I think I broke it. Is it rebooting? I don't know what happened. Okay, let me see. Turn my camera back on. Right? I guess I'm glad I did that, but or is it because I have this? Oh, it's updating. There we go. We're back, and you're still following me. So, like I said, there's a bunch of okay, good. It's off now. All right. So yeah, there was a whole tutorial that I did when I first got this camera, like all the time. Yeah, like I loaded up the program to tell it to stop, and it was like, oh yeah, there's an update, and we're gonna update right now. Hold on, it's weird. Weird. Let's do this. Log out because why hasn't this uploaded yet? Let me see. Who do I send this to? Oh, really? Is it this? Is that it? No. That's not the account. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it is. Yep. All right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now that's not working, so I have to do it again. So it went purple, but then it stopped. So I'm wondering if I need to do this. So I'm going to unplug this tablet real quick, and then I'm going to hold the setup button, and I'm going to plug in, and now I'm going to hold it again, and you should go purple again. So again, you see it's purple-ish. And then once it does that, you have to release. It says wait for 3 to 4 minutes. The camera will reboot, and then the status light will change. Solid, okay. Solid blue, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. So it looks like it's rebooting now because it's red. There's our reboot. And like I said, I mean, I know it works because I tested it on 2 other machines because our 2 other cameras, because that's why we have this stage camera that you see here. So that's why we have this camera. So we know that it works. Just might have to give it a couple tries. So let it work through whatever it needs to work through. And then, like I said, I should get the ready to install. So let's see, what can we do while we're waiting for that? Um, hmm, hmm. What time we got? You know what? Screw it. Let's stop that and then close this, close this. Oh yeah. Oh, thanks, Thumbstick. Yeah, like I said we got I'll do. I'll give. I'll give the quick tour. Actually, like get a quick tour real quick. Do this. Why's that? So let me here. I'll share. No, that's the wrong camera. Right? No, that's the right camera. All right. So All right. So this is the other camera that I have set up, but we have this set up over here. Yep. And then if you slowly pan over, you see we have another area that's like our area that we usually do like our content, or like we stand behind that stand in front of the banner for stuff. And then over there you see we have another like mini shoutcasting station. And then the couches, that's our yeah, it really isn't that far, man. But as you see on the stage, we also have another shoutcasting, but it also serves a second purpose as for the PC for our sim racer. But then on the couch is our console area. So I'm just kind of lifting the camera up now. And there you can see we got some more. We got some Nintendo Switches. We got a PS5. So we have that set up. And then we have a vending machine. I'm actually looking to get rid of the vending machine. Um, but yeah, that's the console area. Um, so like I said, so we got a couple things that we're working on. I wish this thing would hurry up. It's more than 3 to 4 minutes. Let me see. Yeah, WC V3 bin. So okay. There we go. All right, let's see. I spoke it into existence. So you probably heard it said ready to connect, right? So now, okay, I heard you. So now from the app, I just have to add a device. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit add. Ready to connect. I heard you. We're gonna do that, and then it's plugged into a power outlet, which it is. All right, I heard ready to connect. Yeah, I heard ready to connect. Okay, now this is asking for our stuff, and then I just scanned. Please wait. I just have then from there I just scan the QR code. Cannot find the specific network name. So now it's trying to connect to the internet. It's trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. So now you see it turn. Now it was blinking blue. Now it's solid. Setup completed. So now we're gonna call this. We'll call this Gamer Cam 1. And then we're gonna hit finish. And then it should, okay, it's gonna ask us, do we wanna do, if we wanna set up their premium account, which we don't need. We're fine on the basic plan, because again, we're just using it for our PCs. So then it's going to ask us to edit it to, then it's going to ask us to have it, set it up in our group, which we did already. We'll hit finish. And now it's going to go red again, and it's going to authenticate. And we have a camera. And now in theory, what should happen is, for one, I'm going to turn off motion tagging. And I also need to turn off the microphone. And then I go here. Go into advanced settings. And now you probably can't see it. Or if you can, it's very dull. But if you look, there it is. You'll see RTSP at the very bottom. And then I just turn that on. It's going to ask for a username and password. I actually, so I aspire to one day be an annoying face. Look, how with AI these days, you can probably create a bot quickly. All right, so now I just need to create a username and password so that I can connect to it. I'm just waiting to bring up my VLC player so that it recognizes it. Because then once we do that, I can browse. I can use VLC and browse to it using the RTSP um, protocol. Where are to be a co-streamer? You know, I could see a scenario. Hold on. Username and password must be. Oh, no, no, no. I don't want to do that. Okay. So now, in theory, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm actually going to go here. And now, if I type in, oh, I need the IP address, right? Because then I need to do, oh, I just had it too. I just had the camera. I just had it. Okay. It is 10, 10. So now I hit play. All right. So now, and the mic is on because I can hear it. But this is our camera. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get rid of the Wise logo so you don't see that anymore. I don't need to record sound. And I need to turn off the microphone. I don't need it to record to the micro SD card. Don't need night vision on. And then we'll back up. And then we'll check. We don't need to detect motion. So remember, these are security cameras. They're security cameras by default. So it's looking to do security camera features. So I have to turn all that stuff off because I don't need it tracking that. But it also has a built-in microphone, which would be cool because the original plan was to actually use the built-in microphone um, during our streams. But what ended up happening was there's a delay. So obviously, with it streaming over the internet, there's a slight delay. Um, so that kind of messed with things when during a live stream, and then we tried to plug up a camera, a microphone to it, a separate microphone, and what would happen with that is the sound, because the microphone was plugged directly up to the PC, you would hear the sound in real time, but because of the delay, it would look crazy. It would look like the old kung fu flicks, like the audio was out of sync. So we have all of that. We have. Nope, I don't want to speak. Trying to turn the mic off. I forgot how I turned the mic off before. That's sound detection. That's event recording. Notifications. I don't need it to detect sound. I don't need push notifications. I don't need any notifications. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so I think we got everything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, I need to save. I need to save this setting as a shortcut. And we'll call this 113. Actually, I'm going to call this Gamer 1. And then we're going to save it to my desktop. And then we're going to close out of here. And now I should have Gamer 1. So now whenever I click Gamer 1, you're going to give me that camera. We are good. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch cameras to, let me go to 246. And then I'm going to share that so y'all can see me go over there and go set it up. And I'll be right back. Okay, fine. So what I was trying to do is see if it would work just from USB. So glad I didn't hit purchase on that hub just yet. So I just need to get down here and all right. So now, okay. So in theory, so as you can see, we put it on top of this PC here. So come back. So now in theory, what should be able to happen is if we close that and now we go to our Gamer One cam. Boom. I actually like that. I think I did good, chat. What you think? So now what happens is, and I'm going to check it from the Wise app. Right? Y'all are watching from the Wise app. I can go boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, I did good. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. So, yes, solid. Yes, thank you. I think, yeah, I think we did it. Yeah. So I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yep. That's the move. That is the move. So I need to go get the SD card out of there because now I can just boot these up and get them all on. Yep. 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 I like that. I like that. And then, so then when we get the, so what I need to do is get it set up in the NDI. I need to get up. So there's a couple things I need to do. I need to get it set up with in the NDI setup. So when it's screen, so to do the screen share and then have the camera. So I need to run that through OBS. Okay. So, yep. So it's gonna take some. It's gonna take some tinkering. It won't be ready. It probably won't be ready for tomorrow, but it'll definitely be ready soon. And I think this will definitely give it that polished feel when it's all said and done. Because then from there, we can set up multiple things from all our esports stuff, from our Rocket League stuff, our Fortnite stuff, Marvel Rivals. Yeah, yeah, I guess you see it, right? It's like it gives it that polished feel, man. I'm I'm liking this. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. And then, like I said, and then we actually have six in total. Because remember, we have the two that I showed you on stage, and then we have the cameras. Yeah, man, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm super excited right now. If I didn't have to work tomorrow, I probably would get this all set up tonight. But I got to know my limits. But tomorrow is another day, and then we have Saturday. So my goal, and then the other. So tomorrow, what I'll probably do tomorrow evening is there is another. Oh boy, what is it called? There's a new platform um, that I want to check out. What was it called? Meld. Yes, Meld Studio. Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna do that. I gotta move my soundboard over too. So I from home. So yeah, we're yeah. But like I said, I'm gonna use yeah. So there's a new streaming thing called Meld Studio, and it's pretty. It looks pretty dang good. Honestly, it looks pretty damn good. It does a lot of it does a lot of stuff that you have to kind of fight with in in OBS. Like it makes transitions. I mean, it rounds out stuff. It has like it's clean. It's clean. So yeah, we're probably gonna. So tomorrow after our Fortnite match, I'm gonna finish up whatever cameras I don't get done because, like I said, I'm done tonight. But like I said, I'll probably do a couple cameras when I get here tomorrow afternoon. Um, but I think we're gonna do another stream where we're gonna set up Meld and then get Meld to work with our VLC stuff. So I need to do a little bit of research, but I think that's what we're gonna do tomorrow night, assuming we don't have anything too crazy. I don't have anything lined up. No one's reserved the space for Friday night, which is rare, but hey. Yep, end on a victory. Yep. Definitely ending on a victory. So Thumbstick, I'm gonna shoot you an email when I'm gonna shoot you that email when I get home tonight. Definitely gonna get you to come through and also re-engage with other dude too. So like I said, I'll shoot you an email as soon as I get home. So I'm gonna do that. So yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited. I am. I really am. So Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and log off and shut these PCs down and get my behind home. So again, thank y'all for rocking. Again, 3 hours. 1 hour of me just yapping, probably another maybe hour of some try hack me stuff. And now third hour we got one of our cameras up. Yeah, Thumbstick man, thank you. Like I said, we're yeah, we gonna talk. All right, so y'all be safe. Have a good night. If I don't see y'all tomorrow, have a good weekend. Tomorrow we'll be streaming our Fortnite match. We'll be streaming our Fortnite squads match at 4:30, and we usually start about 4:45. So we'll be on. We'll be streaming from about 4:30, and then we'll see what happens in the evening, and then Saturday morning we might stream some Overwatch with our Overwatch crew, and then we have another Fortnite. We have our Fortnite duo stream at 4 o'clock Saturday. So we'll be streaming. We'll be streaming a lot this weekend. All right, y'all be safe. Take it easy. Take care, and I will holler at y'all later.